What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackbine, joined always by my main man, Jacob Punturi. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcast. The Pittsburgh Steelers started something today they have not started in 19 years, and that is began their search for a new head coach. Rooney took the podium today, answered a ton of questions, definitely gave us some good insight into what's to come for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then they were off and running with 5 interview requests to kick things off. But that's not the only names that are out there. Some are floating out there as not happening. Some of them are floating out there as maybes. We're diving into them all here. It's a rainy one here in the city of Pittsburgh. Still feels a little weird. I'll ask you how you're feeling, my friend, as I do every single day. But on top of that, I want to know, did you wake up? Did it feel like a dream? Did it not feel real? Yesterday felt like about 130 hours of a day. Ends, woke up this morning. We just do it again. How you feeling? Is it reality yet?
We are in the haze. You know, like when you wake up, and in that first like 2 to 3 minutes when you wake up, suddenly you're just you don't even know if you're living, right? You're like, yes. I could be in a different plane of existence. I'm not sure what's going on. That's kind of how it's been, right? Like Monday was a late night for the team, of course. Late night for us over here at All Steelers Talk. You got to get back up and do it on very limited rest on Tuesday. And then you're like, oh, that was 4 days ago, right? No. That was about 24 hours ago. You know, we had just concluded the live stream reacting to this crazy news. Yes. I'm feeling good, but it feels like I'm in those first few minutes still. I'm like, am I going to like wake up and be like, wow, that was crazy. But now we're in reality. Unfortunately not. You know, this is the reality. I'm excited. This is a crazy time. The last time the Steelers were hiring a head coach in my lifetime, I was 11.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is a crazy time.
No, you would not have been 11. You're 30. You're not 30. You would have been 19 years. You're 29, correct? You'll be 30?
Correct. I'll be 30. Later this
you
year.
Were 8 years old, brother. Nope, you were right. You were 10 years old. Crazy
little
times.
Boy, a little bean.
So crazy times. I agree with you. I feel like we've lived 7 days in one. But to be really honest, I have not like felt calm in 2 days now, and it's been awesome. Like I'm loving every second of it. I feel like we got something to chase. I'm jazzed up. This is not the same old. This is new and exciting. And what's to come is only beginning. The Pittsburgh Steelers got things kicked off today. They requested 5 interviews. We expect many, many more. This is not the beginning. This is, 5 might turn into 25 in 2 days, but at bare minimum, I expect double digits. Art Rooney spoke today. Before we dive into the names that are on the docket already for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I want him to tell us what he's looking for in the next head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers so that you guys all have an understanding as well.
No, I don't want to sort of put any real parameters around it. We're going to be an open book in terms of who we look for and the list that we build. Could I sign up for another Chuck Noll or another Bill Cowher or another Mike Tomlin? Sure. Somebody that we feel fits that mold would be great, but for now we're not going to kind of narrow the box too much. I think there are a lot of things that go into being a successful head coach. Number one, really, I think in my mind is leadership and really trusting that this person can stand up in front of your team day in and day out, hold their attention, and have them motivated to do what they do. So that's the most important part.
That's an easy understanding for Art Rooney there. We're looking for another leader. We're looking for another Mike Tomlin. He did not shut down the idea of an offensive-minded coach, although I said this in my to-go today and on the call-in show earlier. I'm opening up to a defensive-minded coach. I'm opening up to some names here. I think I was a little bit flustered yesterday as we were going through everything, and I was just getting a little jumpy, and as I've had some time to settle, things feel pretty good. The names on the list right now, Brian Flores, Jesse Minter, Anthony Weaver, Chris Shula, and Nathan Shieldhaas. Probably the greatest Steelers Pittsburgh name they could ever hire, but that's a conversation we'll have here in a minute. Those are the first 5 the Pittsburgh Steelers request interviews for. All expected names, maybe outside of Shieldhaas, which could be a guy that some teams are looking at, some teams are not looking at. He is not an offensive or a defensive coordinator. He's a passing game coordinator in LA. What stands out to you about the list? Maybe the obvious is defensive coordinators. Does anything else jump at you outside of that?
I think the sort of rapid ascent of Nathan Shieldhaas is the thing to note here of these first 5 candidates. When I was putting together the long list, I think it was 11 people of offensive coordinator candidates to replace like Arthur Smith of several weeks ago. He was one of those people that I had sort of circled on that list, but I really thought he would be taking an offensive coordinator job during this next coaching cycle. So for him to be suddenly, and it feels like over the past couple of weeks, it's been very quick, and to his credit, he's learning directly under Sean McVay, working side by side with him, shaping this passing game that has been dynamic and one of the best in the NFL. So it's,
Yes.
the Rams coordinators are maybe an unexpected part of this, but for it to be their passing game coordinator and Nathan Shieldhaas, that's exciting. And I think the archetype for the next head coach seems to be, at least with the first 5 people that they reached out to for interviews, the archetype of defensive-minded defensive coordinator on the come up, that seems to still be really present in the minds of the Pittsburgh Steelers, or at least for, owner Art Rooney.
Yes, I agree. So these are the parameters that I've been told about the Steelers quarterback head coach search. They have almost no interest in a guy who is an older NFL head coach who has been there. The Matt Nagy's, the Eberflus's, there's another one out there that's floating around that I'm losing here. But they have no interest in the older head coaches or people who were head coaches and are now over 50 some years old. They are not tied down to a defensive coordinator, but they like the identity of the Pittsburgh Steelers being what it always has been, and that is a defensive head coach. And that seems to be exactly what they're looking at here. Now, at the same time, I do think that Omar Khan is more open-minded and a more forward-thinking GM in the sense of he could say, I don't know, Art. Like, these guys look great. Brian Flores, Anthony Weaver, good names for sure. This Nathan Shieldhaas guy is ridiculous. So maybe we go that direction. But it does seem to follow exactly what I've been told, is that young, up-and-coming guys that still have a lot of career left, that they could kind of just get started here in Pittsburgh and build something. Like he said, he wants the next Mike Tomlin. He wants the next Bill Cowher. He wants the next Chuck Noll. He wants at some point for it to be 4 coaches in, nearly 100 years of the organization. That's what the goal is for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Brian Flores is the name that I have been told is the name to watch. That right now, it feels like he's the favorite in Pittsburgh to land the job, that they absolutely loved him when he was here, which that I already knew, but that he loved his time here and they wanted to get something done when he left, but there just wasn't the opportunity. They didn't have the job that he wanted, and he wanted something bigger. They couldn't provide that. Now the job seems to be open. To me, Brian Flores will be the front runner through this entire process. Doesn't guarantee that he's going to land the job, but it does mean that he's the name to watch, certainly heading into this. Yesterday, I was against it, okay? Yesterday, I was against it. Today, I kind of look at it after Art Rooney spoke and said, you want to know who's not going to be here? Maybe any of the coaches. You want to know who's not going to be here? Aaron Rodgers. And I said, all right, well, at least this is a fresh start no matter how it goes. I think I'm more open to Brian Flores as the favorite. He's not my favorite. I don't think he's top 5. If he is, maybe he's bottom of that top 5. But right now for the Steelers, that is the name to watch. At least that's what I've been told.
And okay, I think his experience with the organization, that year that he was here as a defensive assistant, like that carries a lot of weight, especially for a team steeped in tradition like the Pittsburgh Steelers. That makes complete sense to me. I agree with you. He's not my front runner, of those first 5. I think honestly, either coordinator from the Rams is the front runner in my mind. But that being said, I feel like I've written about how I wouldn't really go down the Jesse Minter route, but he does seem to really fit that mold of who the Pittsburgh Steelers would like to have as their next head coach. And really all of these guys do in some ways. And I think more than anything, my takeaway is that this initial group, this initial 5, tells me that they are just heading in the right direction when it comes to getting that next head coach. I'm not sure if I'll be thrilled, with depending on each of those selections and who they end up picking, but all 5 of those guys have significant, potential to be good head coaches in the NFL, if not for the first time again.
Yes, I agree. Let me toss a hypothetical at you. The Steelers hire Chris Shula, guy who, Hall of Fame, legendary family tree in the NFL. He brings Nathan Scheelhaas as his offensive coordinator. And the Pittsburgh Steelers get a little 2-for-1 deal because, quite frankly, I don't think Scheelhaas is going to get a job. Maybe he does, but there are some big names that I think get hired over him. Shula is going to get a job. He's going to end up somewhere. Hypothetical. Shula ends up in Pittsburgh as the head coach. Scheelhaas ends up as the offensive coordinator for at least a season. I mean, what's your thoughts on it?
I mean, listen, again, I think I would be down for it. Scheelhaas is a coach on the rise, and I think he is someone that a team. I disagree with you slightly because I do think that there is a team out there, maybe not the Steelers, but there is a team out there who's more than willing to take a chance on some guy going from passing game coordinator to head coach. I believe, and I'm looking this up now as I say it, I believe Zach Taylor was
probably
someone recently, and I need to look this up so I'm not talking completely out of my butt here, was recently, I want to say Zach Taylor was either a quarterback's coach or passing game coordinator before he was hired as the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. So all that to say, there is some recent precedent for that sort of jump, especially when you feel like you've identified that guy. That being said, give me Chris Shula as head coach. I think he's the guy that everyone would be pumped up about. Give me Scheelhaas as the offensive coordinator. And if you lose him in a couple of years because he's just ready to move forward, you win some, you lose some. But that sounds like a pretty good coaching combination to me.
Would you go Scheelhaas as a coach? Would you be okay with that hire?
I think it's a risk, but yeah, I mean, you want the guy who's going to be here for 15 to 20 years. Who's the next Chuck Noll? Who's the next Bill Cowher? I don't know if Scheelhaas is actually that guy, but he's impressive. He's young, continues to trend upwards. You got to take a risk on somebody.
Yeah, I agree. I also, in the terms of the defensive guys and why I'm somewhat warming up to this situation is, and it was, I don't want to take credit for this. This is Alan Saunders' thought. I was watching his podcast last night, and he said that the average lifespan for an NFL head coach is 2.5 years, which that I knew. You are pulling from a group of offensive people all over the place. You know what I mean? You're looking for the next Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay, but there are so many Zach Taylors and Brian Callahans and Mike McDaniels and all those other guys out there, the Brian Dables, who don't hit on the offensive side of the football. Then on the defensive side of the football, you are picking from a much stronger group that people pick from less. And to me, I went, oh, you know what? You're right. You're spot on. And what gives me comfort in saying that is that Art Rooney walked up to this podium today and talked about a bunch of stuff, including how one name inside the Pittsburgh Steelers organization is not a head coaching candidate, and that is Arthur Smith. He also said to me that we're going to let the coach have a lot of say in building his staff, which was a bit of a surprise to me because truthfully, I looked at it and said, Arthur Smith, head coach experience, you get bringing in a young guy, it kind of makes sense that, you keep him around to let the, kind of let everything mesh before you let the coach pick his new guys. He said they're all gone. Do you anticipate there's any chance did he just signal the truth? Should we have already created the Arthur Smith is gone story for whenever it does happen?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they were coming back. He or, defensive coordinator Terrell Austin had much chance of coming back in 2026 before Mike Tomlin stepped down as the head coach. Now that Mike Tomlin is not the head coach, there is zero reason. You have no attachment to these guys anymore. And it does, once again, this is, the Steelers' way of doing things. They want their head coach to come in, present his vision to the team, and then institute it and put in his coordinators, his coaches, his guys. Like, it's not, it was, I thought Art Rooney was painfully honest when it came to that. He was just very much matter of fact, like, there's no one on this staff right now that's a real head coaching candidate. Maybe they could be coordinators, but I'd rather let the head coach, hire him first, then we make those decisions. But really the new head coach is going to, and Arthur Smith, we talked about this before, had the 16th and 15th highest scoring offenses as the coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers. What exactly is this body of work that is keeping him tethered to the Pittsburgh Steelers? Same thing for Terrell Austin. He's gone. We should draft that up.
Yeah, I agree. And it was a good feeling, honestly. Like, as somebody who hopes the best for the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2026, hopes they get this thing turned around, Arthur Smith to me was a detriment, a guy that was just going to pull this thing down. And, I don't hate it, but I certainly don't like it. And to acknowledge that he isn't a head coach candidate is huge, because he is a head coach candidate for other teams, but not in Pittsburgh. And he's not in Pittsburgh. The other name, Rodgers, man. You want to talk about, that was the most blunt. Shout out to Jim Wexell, who sat next to me during this press conference. I don't care if he gets mad at me for saying this. He looks at me, he goes, that was blunt and it was real needed. And that was to Rooney's response of, is Aaron a guy that you see coming back? No, that was Mike T's guy. So chances are he will not be back with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let me ask the big question here. What is this cycle for you? Where does it go? Because that's the big question. You got to find a quarterback. Where do you go? What's the quarterback? What do you do? Do the Steelers hire or get another vet? Do they let Mason and Will battle it out? Dante Moore just said he's going back to the NCAA, which means Ty Simpson is going to get drafted to the Jets. So you don't even have your fallback option. And where do you see the Steelers going a quarterback in 26?
Oh, in a bad place, to be quite honest. I think right now you're looking at, do we make this a competition between Mason Rudolph and Will Howard? Or do you go out there and try to lure Malik Willis to the Pittsburgh Steelers to be your temporary starting quarterback? Because your evaluation of the first round class, or really the top end of the quarterback prospect list, is spot on right now. You got Fernando Mendoza, who you don't have access to, Ty Simpson, who's bad, and Trinidad Chambliss, who most teams are probably, if they're quarterback hungry like the Pittsburgh Steelers, will reach on at some point. Unless, wait, yes, what's that little... I didn't know if you had some little information with that little.
No. I got information that the Steelers should be eyeing Trinidad Chambliss.
He's probably going to be a first round pick because of all of this, right? Especially with Dante Moore going back. What do I want to see the Steelers do? I don't know. Be aggressive, and if there's someone that you think can be a starter for 3 years with this team, go get him. I don't have a name for you because I don't think there's someone out there that you could go get. I think you have to go take a chance on a free agent for a year. Maybe this is the year you're going to stink. And I know Art Rooney was like, no, I don't like the word rebuilding, but relax. It's okay. You can be bad sometimes, and doesn't mean the Steelers are ruined forever. What other options do you have? Do you want a 43-year-old quarterback coming back who doesn't know the head coach and might not be interested? Or would you rather just see what you got? I mean, I think maybe Will Howard's stock is the name to watch in all of this, because his name could be rising more than anything. So we know Mason Rudolph won't be the starter in 2026. Will Howard could be.
I doubt it, but he could be. for sure. I think it depends on where you go. What direction do you go in? You know, you go Brian Flores and you bring him in here. Maybe he's got connections in Minnesota with maybe a name like Carson Wentz. You know what I mean? You bring in a Jesse Minter. Maybe a Trey Lance gets an opportunity in Pittsburgh next year. You go Miami. I don't even know who's there, but hopefully nobody. Zach White. Oh, shivers. LA. I don't even know who their backup quarterback is, but sure. Sounds good to me. Look it. I have no idea what position they are or what direction they go in. I do know that Art has to make it so abundantly clear to whoever he hires that this year he understands the quarterback situation, because you can't have the pressure of, hey, if you really suck this year, it's over, because that can't be the case. Like, you have to let him know, don't reach on a quarterback, continue to build this team, put them in the best position possible, and then next year find your quarterback, because that is the best way to go about it if you are the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it was the way they were thinking about going about it before Mike T left, and then it can't be different with somebody else coming in, because you're just going to ruin it. You're just going to reach for a guy that you shouldn't be reaching for in a draft where you shouldn't be reaching at all, and that is just not where you want to go if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. This list of 5: Brian Flores, Jesse Minter, Anthony Weaver, Chris Shula, Nathan Shieldhouse. Who's the name not on here that you fully anticipate is going to be on here?
Ooh. Now there's a very good question. Like you said, I think there's going to be probably, I don't know, 10 or so candidates who we hear about in the next coming days. We've seen a lot of the defensive side of the ball. I anticipate that there's going to be some offensive minds coming in. And so I would not be surprised if we see someone like Grant Udinsky, who's like all of a sudden a huge name in the coaching search, offensive coordinator from Jacksonville Jaguars. Would not be surprised to see him be requested to interview here. I think we're going to see a little bit more. I know you did not like him, but would not be shocked to see someone like a Joe Brady get a chance to interview here.
Yeah, I think he'll be on the list.
Yeah, and I think there's some offensive names, or offensively minded names, let's say, who are going to pop up here in the next couple of days, and then we'll see. Those two I feel confident in.
So I agree with that. Kubiak's the other name I anticipate he's going to be on here. I think he's just the hottest name out there, and you're going to interview the hottest name out there. You just have to with your job, and a lot of these guys will be added to this list. Here's the 2 that you didn't mention that I almost guarantee are on this list, whether they're serious or not: Kevin Stefanski and John Harbaugh. I guarantee that they get interviews in Pittsburgh. Guarantee it. It's just, you're not going to avoid those 2. I don't think they're serious candidates for the job, but I do think that the Steelers are going to do their due diligence and say, we have to do it. We have to do it. And, you know, do they stun them? I doubt it. I was told point blank the Steelers have almost no interest in head coaches who've been around for a while. They just don't. They just want a fresh start, somebody new. But you got to add those 2 to the list. I just think that you have to. Out of this 5, if it ended today, and this is how we'll end our agenda before we start answering questions here. Out of these 5, if it ended today, who would you hope that the Steelers hired as their next head coach? First 5.
Chris Shula. I think he is, of those 5, probably the best equipped, maybe not best equipped, but the best candidate right now to meet the moment and be that guy who kind of steps forward, keeps growing, and then takes this organization into the next phase. Those Anthony Weaver feels like the weakest candidate of those 5. No discredit to him, but coming out of the Miami Dolphins staff right now, like, you're not really being seen in high regard. Brian Flores, I think, is probably number 2 on there, if I'm being perfectly honest. But Chris Shula is the guy that I think I would most like to see from these first 5 come away with the job.
Yeah, Chris Shula is my name as well, certainly. Shula, just to switch it up here, I think I like Nathan Shieldhouse. Like, I'm not against Nathan Shieldhouse. I think you're taking a risk at it, but that's exciting, you know? And if he's a guy that you got excitement for, cool. You know, he's not a play caller. I like head coaches that go from position coach to head coach with almost no play calling experience. It just, to me, like, you don't have the expectation to do that. Just know how to build a good offense and then let somebody else work with you. And you work well with other people because you are just a small piece to the puzzle. I think that's the way to go about it. I like Shieldhouse. Shula's the top of my list as well. He's the name that if it ended today, and I think him and Flores are going to be the names throughout this that we say, if they don't end up elsewhere, watch the Steelers, because it just feels like that's where we're headed. All right. With that said, that's everything on our agenda. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side of it, we're going to start answering all of your questions. So toss them in the chat. We'll be back in 30 seconds.
Pittsburgh, this one's for you. From the voices behind All Steelers Talk comes black and gold apparel, your go-to for bold, fan-driven merch that reps the city, the Steelers, and everything in between. Whether you bleed black and gold or just love that Pittsburgh grit, we've got something for you. It's more than a podcast. It's a community. And thanks to your support, we're proud to bring the passion from our mics to your closets. Gear up, stand out, and show the world what real fans look like. Shop now at blackandgoldapparel.myshopify.com.
All righty. Shout out to our members. Shout out to our super chatters. Can't thank you guys enough as always. I want to give everybody a shout out for yesterday. That was a blast. Shout out to all the special guests who walked by. I did give Mike DeFavo and Brian Bacco slack because both of them decided they weren't coming on, which is just lame. Shout out to the rest of them who did, and all of you guys as always. It was awesome. If you got questions, toss them in the chat. Hit that like and subscribe button before we get going. Hit that like and subscribe button. We're trying to get to 60,000. We're so close, and we need your guys' help to do so. We're going to kick it off with Duff already misses Tomlin. Ball, and if we're lucky, a minimum 2 to 5 years of 5-12 football. If we're lucky, we can march for Arch. See, so I think that the Steelers could stink? Certainly. Am I going to try to talk everybody down a little bit? Absolutely. The Steelers roster is, I get it. You need a quarterback, but this team is not a bad football team. It is not put together as a bad football team. It has a lot of really good pieces, and then it has some pieces that are not, and we've had this conversation before, they're not great, but they're not bad pieces. Patrick Queen is a guy who plays on every team in the NFL. Sante Samuel Jr. plays on every team in the NFL. Jalen Ramsey, Kyle Duggar, if he comes back, Deshaun Elliott, Cam Hayward, Keanu Benton, Alex, like, they have the names. This isn't a team full of scrums. This is a team that, they have pieces. It would take a lot to be a really bad football team in Pittsburgh. I just don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen just because Mike Tomlin is gone. It's certainly possible. Oh, is there more from our boy?
There is. I missed the first one here. Self-admitted Tomlin Glazer. I already missed this man so much. To all the Tomlin haters, hope you're ready for some non-competitive football.
I appreciate the Tomlin glazing. And look, there's plenty of room for that here as we go through this process, right? Like, those feelings are valid. It's kind of like grief.
For sure.
Sometimes we're going to miss them. Sometimes we're going to be angry. Sometimes we're going to bargain. It's okay. We'll come to acceptance sooner rather than later. I think it's possible for the Pittsburgh Steelers to be 5-12 in the 2026 season. I thought that was possible in 2025 under Mike Tomlin, right? And I don't think it's because this roster is so irreparably bad. I don't think it's because this organization is in the dumps. I think the NFL has an extreme level of parity right now, and teams are really good. It's hard to win. So I think a first-year head coach could come in here, find immediate success with a few tweaks, or he might come in here and struggle. And I think we just kind of have to be okay with that, because that is what this huge change brings. It's tough. We're going to get through it together.
We are.
Us, Noah, and me and you, Duff. We're going to get through it together.
Yes, sir. Nate Moore here. Clay Kubiak for head coach. He has a strong resume. Is Clay, am I missing something with Clay? Yeah, Clay
I don't know
Clay's San Francisco's
right
offensive coordinator. Got it. He's Clint's brother. That would make sense. I'd be about him too. I don't think he's on as many lists. Clinton, and what was his name? What was their dad's name?
Clint? No.
Nah, it wasn't. I think it was like Gary Kubiak or something.
It was Gary. It was
Gary. I look at. I'm all about any Kubiak. I really am. Comes from the right tree. I think Kubiak. I think their father was an absolute stud of an offensive coordinator. I think that the bloodline is there. I'd be okay with it. His resume is definitely impressive here. He's 37 years old. San Francisco from 2021 on, and has worked as a defensive quality control coach, an assistant quarterbacks coach, passing game specialist, and now the offensive coordinator. So yeah, I think Kubiak would be a good name to add to the list. Certainly.
Mm-hmm. He's not my preferred Kubiak, if I'm being perfectly honest.
We
did really overlook him. I think we must have gotten a comment about this yesterday, and now I'm like having this like memory of reading something about Clay Kubiak in the comments yesterday and just being like, that's a weird
blowing it right off.
Yeah, like that's almost how you spell Clint. So apologies for that. Sure, fine candidate, right coaching tree. Agree with all that, Noah. He feels like a tier below, to me at least.
Yeah.
From some of these other top candidates I've written about. We talked about several that I think are probably in the tier above and more, what's the right word, desirable for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I agree. My only hope in this, my only caveat, or not caveat, but my only boost to Clay would be Mike Tomlin was a nobody too. You know what I mean? And if that's the guy you're overlooking, but you find, I trust the process to say, oh, okay, maybe, but it is a good name to add to the list. Tacoma, Taco Man. I just wanted Tacoma, guys. I don't know what to tell you. Taco Man. I did this last time. Rooney did confirm the new head coach won't be from within. Goodbye, Arthur Smith. I'll name you the three names I think do stay on the coaching staff, though, and let me know if you agree. Eddie Faulkner, and if they get rid of him, honestly, crazy. What are you doing here? Tom Arth and Gerald Alexander. This is outside of Danny Smith, who I pray Art Rooney says there is one rule in Pittsburgh, and that is you can't fire Danny Smith.
Yeah, I agree. You cannot fire Danny Smith. Agreed. Tom Arth shouldn't go anywhere. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets some sort of offer, that entices him to leave. Yes, Eddie Faulkner should keep his job. And was there another one that I'm missing?
Gerald Alexander and Tom Arth.
Oh yeah, Gerald Alexander. Yep, I think absolutely has to stay. I think he's probably been an underrated yet crucial piece of Joey Porter's ascension and the secondary. Where there are some bright spots, big credit to him. He's another coach that I think his name has been floated around over the past couple of months as someone who is on that track to trending upwards to defensive coordinator eventually, maybe head coach down the line. We'll see what happens. He should stay. Arth should stay. Faulkner goes, we riot. Smith goes, we burn it. We burn the city down to the ground.
For sure. Maddie, Nate Shieldhouse is intriguing. Quarterback search part 1 to 12,394. It's coming, guys. It's coming, but you gotta go through it eventually. It can definitely got to figure it out, though. My anticipation is the Pittsburgh Steelers draft quarterback in 27, first round.
That's their best chance right now of actually landing the franchise quarterback, not just a quarterback to play for another year, not just a guy who maybe inspires hope for a bit but falters down the stretch. 2027 is maybe the next chance they have to really land that guy, unless they're going to go out and magically land a Joe Burrow or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. You know what I mean? Like one of these guys who are bona fide NFL franchise quarterbacks, which are not available. You can't go get them. So I'm not sure where else you're going to find them. We talked about free agent options before, and we will again. They don't exist unless you fully believe in Will Howard being the next franchise QB of the Steelers, which some do, and respect. I just disagree.
Artisanal Bully Kennel. I feel like we're back to Rodgers watch again. It's gonna, think about it, guys. Think about the next couple of months of our lives. We'll go quarterback search over the next couple of weeks here. And then from that, we'll go position/coordinator search. And then from there, it'll go quarterback search. And then it'll go NFL draft. It is going to be a wild time. And only to make it better, maybe exhausting, and Jacob, this might terrify you because I just learned it today. The Steelers get an extra week of mini camp, and then they get an extra week of training camp because of a new head coach. Never knew that rule because I've never existed in a world with a new head coach, but we get about, 4 days off in the summer, and it'll be a good time. Those will be good 4 days. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go swimming somewhere. Don't know where. Not the river. It's gonna be a good time.
Down a point?
Time. Never in my life. Never in my life. Broderick, the last time a defensive-minded coach won a Super Bowl was Bill Belichick in 2018. Do you think Art Rooney II is aware of this trend? Is that true? That would be true then? Who won it? I'll pull it up here. Super Bowl winners over the years.
I mean,
because that would be
Peterson was not.
Yeah, I guess Doug Peterson was not. Sirianni's not. Andy Reid's not. Andy Reid's not. McVay's not. Oh, it was Arians not. Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Okay, now that being said, also, it's a lot of Andy Reid in this. So, skewed number for sure. At the end of the day, though, I'm not like, I don't know. I think the trend is going to change. You know what I mean? I think the trend's going to change, and I'm okay with being out in front of it. I like the offensive-minded guys. I'm all offense. I'm opening up to a defensive hire because I think that I don't want to blow off some of these names that I think are really impressive.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, like, I'll push back on this a little bit in that, yes, I think Nick Sirianni is certainly an offensive mind, but, like, he's a delegator. And that's been, I think, part of the impressive run that the Eagles have been on over the past couple of years. It landed guys like Kellen Moore a job. Like, it's because the Sirianni's staff is quite impressive as well. I agree that the trend is more offensive coaches. That's where the innovation seems to be in the NFL right now. That being said, I think the question is not, are they going to do the right thing? I think the question is, how long do you think this trend is going to last? Do you jump on it and join it by, targeting someone like a Nate Shieldhouse, or do you think this trend is going to change, or maybe you're going to lead it by bringing in someone like a Chris Scholla who can sort of redefine things, like a Brian Flores? I don't know. I think the bigger question, though, is like, where do you feel the trend is at in the league from the Steelers' point of view?
Yeah, from the Steelers' point of view, for certainly. Broderick, fantastic stat here. Appreciate this one for sure. KGK, Chris Shula and Nate Shieldhouse duo would be fun. It'd be a blast. I just think that that's the way to go about it, is to bring in a young offensive coordinator. Here, let me toss this other one at you, because this one I think I'm having fun with too. If you go Brian Flores, why not go Antoine Randall and bring him in here? I think he's an offensive-minded coach that I'm all about it. Like, I really like the Antoine Randall idea. I truly, truly do. He's learning from Ben Johnson. He's from the Ben Johnson coaching tree. He's been a successful wide receivers coach in 2 places now. Make him an offensive coordinator and see if he's good at it. And if he's not, who cares? But I like the Antoine Randall idea. I really do. I think he got a couple years before he's a head coaching candidate, and you could take advantage of that in Pittsburgh.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, he's worked under Dan Campbell as well. Like, there's a lot, and Steelers fans love him. How could you not? I said this before on the show. I'm not necessarily of the mindset that, even with several former Steelers making their way up the coaching ranks respectively, I'm not a big believer that bringing in more of the old guard is going to help bring this team into the next phase. It feels to me like it would be clinging on to that generation that's no longer here instead of trying to find a way forward. Is that a dramatic stretch maybe about the potential hiring of Antoine Randall? Yes, I will admit that. But still, I think the fresh mindset, the fresh perspective has to come from guys who have very little experience with the black and gold.
Yeah. Smootest Buddhist. I might cry if the Ravens get Flores. I think it is awesome that the AFC North is just immediately going after defensive guys. It's just like, hey, we all need head coaches, which I forget the Browns need a head coach all the time, but we all need head coaches. We should get defensive coaches because that's just AFC North football. And that makes me excited to just continue to show that AFC North football is a different brand. And I freaking love it. I freaking love all of it.
It's crazy. What would you say if Brian Flores, Jesse Minter, and Chris Scholla all got hired in the same division?
I'd hope that.
And then Zach Taylor's there.
And then Zach Taylor, which is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my whole life.
He was a quarterback's coach with the Rams the year before he was hired by the Bengals. That's what I was not accurate on earlier.
There it was. Yeah. No, absolutely. No. I think it's crazy. Shout out to Zach, who somebody said this today. Do you think he's got survivor's remorse? He probably should. Let's be really honest, because that is just a wild situation. Trippa, we need a revamped offense. Brian Flores will not bring that, pretty much like Mike Tomlin 2.0. I don't think that. I hope, I don't know for certain. I would hope that whoever they bring in, defensive mind or offensive mind, is going to hire a play caller. Truthfully, I hope that whoever they bring in, offensive or defensive, brings their own play caller. I don't want anybody who's a head coach calling all the plays all the time. I don't want that. I don't think that succeeds in the NFL. Andy Reid, it succeeds with. He's a future Hall of Famer. He's a guy that right now is the best head coach in football outside of this season. Outside of that, I don't want, somebody to walk in here and think like, I'm top dog, I have to run the whole show. I want you to bring a staff with you, and I want that staff to be really good. And then from there, cool. If you got a hand in things, if you take over from time to time, fine. But I don't care who you are. I want a staff around you to be calling plays.
Yeah, the only top dog I want is Top Dog Law, because I love their commercials on the radio. It's the best. Top dog. Again, not to bring up Nick Sirianni, but even him, Sean McVay, like, yes, they have their levels of expertise, right? And their resumes suggest offensive minds, but the excellence of the head coach seems to be their ability to have the entire staff pitching in it, or at least playing their part. And sometimes that's different play calling duties. Sometimes that is delegating accordingly. And I really do think that is to whoever the next head coach is advantages if they're able to do that properly. I think that is a form of leadership, like, Art Rooney talked about being the number one priority for the next head coach. Knowing your flaws, or at least having a grasp on them and knowing what to do about it, whether it is getting better or finding the proper help. No, that's leadership to me. And I think that should be something that the Steelers can't neglect in their search.
Yes, agreed. Poke the Ravens nest salad. Head coach Shula, offensive coordinator Steelhouse, defensive coordinator Raheem Morris, or other. I love the Raheem Morris conversation. I think that he should be the defensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I would hope that's still on the table. And from my understanding, Flores has a relationship with him. Shula might have a relationship with him as well. I love the Raheem Morris situation. I love Raheem Morris as a defensive coordinator.
I've been saying that. I think this is probably like the fourth, fifth, sixth show that I've said I think Raheem Morris would be a great next defensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I would love some combination of him and, him and Scholla as with their Steelhouse. Also, I think we already know if that happens, the strip district will be lined with t-shirts that say Steelhouse or Stillhouse.
Always.
Immediately.
And
your favorite vendors on Penn Avenue will be making money hand over fist.
And we will have a t-shirt because we are businessmen. Who are we now, Salad? Arthur Smith's dad owns FedEx. Get him out of here. Stephen Cornfield, let me tell you here, brother. I could not agree with you more. Screw FedEx. We hate them. We don't deal with FedEx. Not in this house. I'm not a FedEx guy, okay? If I see something's getting delivered from FedEx, I don't order anything online from Walmart because I know it's coming through FedEx and I just can't do it. I can't do it. Agreed, brother. Agreed. Don't tell me otherwise.
That?
Don't tell me otherwise.
Dude, I got complaints for everything, you know.
I don't fist fight many people for many reasons, but FedEx, I'll raise a fist to that one.
A knuckle sandwich for you.
Duff, bring my Lebanese cousin home. Robert Saleh, a name we haven't talked about. Yeah. Do you think
Faribaugh said that yesterday, right?
That he would be a name to watch? Certainly. Mm-hmm. I could see him getting an interview in Pittsburgh. I certainly can. And I wouldn't be upset about Saleh either, only because it's just like anybody who goes to the Jets. It's not a real organization. They don't really play football or know what they're doing over there. He got fired by a 15-year-old kid. To me, that just doesn't even count. You know, you're clean slate. I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, I'm of the same mindset, right? Like I can forgive the issues that someone goes through with the New York Jets. Some of that feels beyond his control.
Yes.
That being said, he is like Clay Kubiak. He is one of those people who I would put in like the B tier of potential coaching candidates, guys who probably will get an interview. I don't consider them serious candidates, but that's just in Pittsburgh. Around the league, you never know. You never know. Like Tennessee Titans would love to get Robert Saleh. You know what I mean? Well, like there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's the Flores right now. You had a head coaching job, didn't work out. You need a couple of years to kind of revamp. Who are we now, Salad? Today I claimed all coaches are out. Believe me now. I didn't believe you earlier today. I may believe you now. Shout out to Arthur Smith and all of them who will be gone. I think I was definitely stunned by that answer. I do. That was a classic. Maybe I was alone, but when Rooney said, no, we don't have any in-house candidates, I was like, dude, that is not a Rooney answer. That is not. I was fully anticipating him saying, yeah, we'll do all our due diligence, and that could include people on the staff always. Now he said, no, this is a clean house, brother. We all out. Get them out of here. Ship them. 1 for 1. Gone.
That was hilarious. Like, if I worked for the Steelers, just like as a staff member, I would be like, I think my boss thinks I suck.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you'd be right because he said it.
Because he said it. John, what if Mike T stepped down for a temp to come in and lose so he keeps his record? He comes back with a fresh first-round pick in Arch. That would be incredible, dude. And I would be very curious what the perception of the fan base would be if Mike T was like, I'm coming back. Like I never left. And then I don't even know who gets fired after a season. That would be... It wouldn't happen, but it'd be cool. It'd be a story.
Never happen. It would be a great story. I think he would genuinely be welcomed back with open arms. People will push back on that right now, but they would love to have Mikey T back in the saddle. I could never see this happening. I don't think Mike Tomlin is that. I don't think he cares.
No. John,
we do not care.
Flores with Malik Willis, best duo out there. Malik Willis is going to be an option for the Pittsburgh Steelers. When anybody wants to admit it or not, the man's going to make some money this offseason, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be in amongst the teams that are considered a candidate, but that's going to be the same with Justin Fields and Anthony Richardson and Kirk Cousins and all of the other nonsense names out there that they shouldn't go after, but they're tied into going after because they have no other option. It stinks. It stinks. Who we are, Salad. Who we are now. Who are we now, Salad? I got it. Don't even worry about it. Tomlin isn't going to coach. Can we still get picks? No, you have to trade him. You have to trade him.
It's not a compensatory pick situation like with certain free agents like we've talked about throughout the season, right? Like it is some team Noah threw out the Miami Dolphins yesterday. It's Miami Dolphins want Mike Tomlin. They say, okay, we'll give you first round pick and a third round pick, which is what Sean Payton was traded for. And we'll get Mike
Dude,
Tomlin.
he was a
That's
first
all
and
the
a
way-
second, I thought. Wasn't he a
No,
first and a second?
First and a third. I checked.
No, I'm pretty sure you're wrong on that.
Happy to be.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, a 2023 first round pick and a 2024 second round pick, and the Broncos gave up and the Saints gave up a third round pick. That's what it was. But it was a first and a second. I knew it was a first and a second. If Tomlin got traded, he's going for 2 firsts. Nobody wants to believe me, but he's going for 2 first round picks. Like,
I'm one of those people. But
it's going to happen. It's going to happen. That being said, I don't know the rules of it. I don't think anybody really understands them yet on whether or not if he waits 2 years, it's gone and you don't have to worry about it. If it continues to carry, I have zero idea what the actual like logistics of it is. You have to trade him though. And from what Rooney said today, and from my understanding, Tomlin is not going to coach this season, and he has no interest in coaching anytime soon, which means that he might be done. You know, Tomlin might just say, this was fun. I had a lot of fun. I had a good time, and go on with his merry way. So wild, but
listen, here's my take. Listen, I think you're probably right on the going rate of Mike Tomlin if he gets traded. But like, here's my take that I said yesterday, and then I think most people will not believe me, but I'm very confident will happen. There will be no trade of Mike Tomlin's contract. And again, I think Art Rooney's comments today just confirmed it. Like, I think there is whether people like it or not, there is so much mutual respect between these two parties that unless Mike Tomlin eagerly wants to, enter the coaching conversation, they'll just let his contract end after the 2027 season and let him find a new opportunity if that's when he's ready. And I truly think that's how this is going to shake out.
It's the worst decision they could make. I agree with you that it's a possibility. Worst decision. Everybody should be fired immediately. Don't care about the respect. This is a business. Run it as a business. But I agree with you. I think it's a possibility. And I hope you're wrong. Rival. If Matt LaFleur becomes available, we bring him in and get Malik Willis. Yeah, Matt LaFleur immediately becomes my go get him coach. And I don't even care about Malik Willis, dude. Go get Aaron Rodgers again. and bring Aaron back for one more season with Matt LaFleur, which nobody would be excited for except for Noah Strackbine. But I'd be all about that one. Matt LaFleur is easily top dog, but he's not going to get released. Not going to happen.
Yeah, you would have to trade for him, right? Talk about trades.
Or he'd get fired, which I guess wouldn't happen. He's technically a free agent, I'm pretty sure. I think his contract expired after the season, but they're working on a new deal.
Yeah, all I know is they're working on a new deal, and I'm under the assumption that he is going to receive a new contract with the Green Bay Packers, making a trade the only way to get him. But yeah, I think Matt LaFleur would immediately become the top candidate if he was available for real. I don't think he is, but that'd be great.
Yeah, I agree. 3K Kyle, the no name no one is talking about, Matthew Canada, brother. Shout out to Matt Canada, dude, who, I mean, wild, dude. Wild. The end of the Pittsburgh, you could make an E60 off of the things Mike Tomlin endured before he just decided, I'm good. I'm done. Matt Canada he's the picture. It's not even Mike Tomlin. It's the picture is Matt Canada with tears running down his eyes. Officially squashing Graves until further notice. It's where we're at. You got to be doing it. I'll run with this one, Enigma. No chance they take down the standard is the standard in the stadium or any of that, right? Tomlin's engraved in this thing for the rest of the time.
It's the standard. Standard is the standard. The standard is not rescribed on the walls. The standard remains on the wall because it's the standard.
Because it's the standard.
Because it's the standard. Yeah, I don't
agree.
think so. Like, what are they going to replace it with? I think is my real question.
Yeah, true. I hope not. I agree with you. I don't think it's going to happen.
No
Cody,
one on the staff is a real candidate. Oh, thanks.
that would be awesome. Cody Silva getting rid of Tomlin, Smith, and Austin is like carrying around a refrigerator on your back for years, and someone like, hey, you should drop that now. You are free. Oh, man. Shout out to Cody Silva. I got no response to that one. I don't even know what to say. I disagree with the Tomlin thing. I 100% agree with the Arthur Smith and the Terrell Austin thing. I think it was time for Mike Tomlin to go. I don't think he was a detriment to the Steelers. I think it was just time to go. I think that's what it was.
Yeah. I don't, this description, I think, is a little melodramatic for my taste, but Cody, I applaud the vivid imagery.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Dougie Fresh. Matt LaFleur's future is uncertain in Green Bay. If he's available, that changes everything. Here's to an exciting offseason, fellas. I'm here for it. I'm also here for it, guys. I'm fired up. This is about to be, I'm not going to sleep for like days. You know what I mean? My alarm went off at 5 a.m. this morning because I said, all right, it's coaching search time. We're here. We adjust. Yeah. And I will reiterate again, Dougie Fresh, we adjust. Matt LaFleur is I would hope. And the dream in my eyes got killed when Tomlin said he's not going to coach this year, because if Tomlin was coaching, I think Green Bay would say, ooh, interesting. Let's make a phone call, see if he has any interest here. And I have a hard time thinking Mike Tomlin's going to be like, Micah Parsons, are you kidding me? Ick, get away from me. Jordan Love, ick. Josh Jacobs, ick. The wide receiver too that I've been trying to trade for 2 years, and Romeo Dobbs, get out of my face. I don't want any of you here. No, he wouldn't do that. He'd say, this is awesome. I'm going to go coach there maybe. And I think that would open the door. But he shut that door, and he hurt everybody in the process.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Mike.
Don't correct me.
Skylar, how about Kurt Signetti for head coach?
No.
I would love it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not convinced it would work, but I think it would. I think Kurt Signetti would be hilarious. I think I'd see him and Pat Narduzzi walking down the hallway, and I'd just be like, I don't even know what one you are. I'm just gonna guess. I'm just gonna say, what's going on, coach? And hope one of you respond, because I couldn't tell the difference. Just two old white college coaches who just out here doing college coach things in Pittsburgh. I just think it'd be hilarious.
Okay, and that's why you love this idea, not because you think he's like gonna win a Super Bowl. Okay,
no, I don't. I think there's a 50% chance it works, 50% chance it doesn't. One awesome year in Indiana is not. But then again, you Google him, he wins. Ask him. I'm looking at it going, Kurt Signetti, bring him back, bring the Yinzer back to the Berg. That guy'd be electric with a mic in his arm or in his face every Tuesday. Electric with a mic in it. That's all I care for. That's priority one. How electric are you? He'd be electric. Yeah.
You could have a full Yinzer coaching staff. You can get Mike Tomsola. You can get Bruce Gradkowski in there. You can get Coach Ditka to come out of retirement. You can just get the whole arsenal.
Charlie Batch coaching the quarterbacks. Would love it, dude.
Oh, my gosh.
Would love it,
Come on now.
Would love it. Let me toss this one out there because somebody tossed it at me. Brian Kelly shows up with a Yinzer accent.
He would. He'd be like, I'm from here. And, I'm from down the south side.
I just came down the south side from downtown. Be like, shut up. Just stop. Shut up. Just shut up. Miguel, I don't understand people complaining about a losing season or two. That's how you get to your franchise quarterback and have a real chance at a Super Bowl. 20 to 25th pick hasn't worked. So yes and no. The Steelers have picks to move up. I expect them to move up next year. I don't expect them to struggle as much as everybody thinks they're going to struggle this year. Maybe I'm going to be wrong. It's early in the process. I'll probably change that idea a couple of times. But where we sit today, I look at it and go, oh, it's January. I have no idea what this team looks like. The way I look at it right now, I say, and I think somebody just walked into my house, which is terrifying. is that you are going to trade up next year and get a quarterback, and you're going to pull a Kansas City Chiefs, and that should work out. So I don't think they're going to purposely struggle, but I do think they're going to get their franchise quarterback in the next 2 years. Next shot at a franchise quarterback in the next 2 years.
Yeah, and it's not the first year of those next 2 years. And just want to make sure Noah is safe. Are you safe? Do you need me to call anyone?
I don't know. We'll see. You see somebody pop up behind me, you let me know, brother.
I'll sprint.
Right. Bring the laptop. We got to get this on video.
Live streaming.
You can't call anybody. Verizon doesn't work today. So we're just crime it just exists today. Just exists. Smootus Bootus. As long as there are those that remember what was, there will always be those that are unable to accept what can be. I don't know this quote. Do you?
Yeah, it's from Avengers.
Yeah, you all knew I didn't watch Avengers. You all knew that was coming. You all knew that one was coming. Shout out to Smootus, who just it fits.
It fits, and Noah sits. How about it?
And Noah sits. Tyre Tomlin, worried fans will not be patient with a new head coach. Agreed. I said this today on Radio Hit Out in Columbus that we are all going to collectively find out just how much of this Mike Tomlin truly was. And I have a hard time thinking it was nothing. I think there's a good shot that we all realize real quick, damn, Mike T really was the guy that could do 9-8. And this is what it feels like to suck. And that sucks. And this is not fun. And I think everybody's got to embrace that and just say, ride it out. But this fan base, the definition, the word spoiled gets thrown out all the time. The Steelers fans have not been quote unquote spoiled, but they definitely have no idea what it's like to struggle. None in the NFL. And we are all potentially going to witness that. So buckle up, strap them in, see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Agreed.
Tago man, we don't need to suck to get a high draft pick. You can trade players and other picks to move up. We have like 12 picks this year, and hashtag move TJ. Let me ask you that one. Do you think that a new coach comes in here and says, could I trade TJ Watt? $1 billion TJ Watt? $1 billion, 7.5 sacks TJ Watt?
Yeah, it's possible. I don't think there is any, if your head coach of 19 years walks away, the Pandora's box of possible changes that this franchise can go through is opened up. So yes, the idea of possibly moving TJ, it's increased, right? And the likelihood of it has increased. A new head coach, I think a lot of it's going to be dependent on the type of defensive system that they want to play. I was asked recently about does this mean that the 3-4 base defense might be transitioned out? And yeah, I think that is a large conversation. The quarterback and the next head coach's vision on the quarterback and how to move this defense forward are going to be the two key evaluating points for the Pittsburgh Steelers when they name their next head coach. If you're a guy who's committed to playing the 3-4, you can't move TJ Watt. But if you're a 4-3 guy, all of a sudden there's a conversation, because yes, he can play the D end in the 4-3 setup, but drastically changes your expectations in the role that he's in. So it is a huge question. There is a possibility.
There is a possibility. And I think it's a very slim one. Omar has a lot of control in there. Rooney has a lot of control in there, but the door is certainly open. Eddie the Great, what does it take to change Freeman's mind? I don't think Freeman's coming to Pittsburgh. However, the fact that he said maybe I'm too open to conspiracy theories here. Maybe I'm just a little bit outside the box all the time. The fact that he said, oh, I talk to NFL teams just to learn things. Come on, brother. Come on. You're telling me that if that NFL team said, hey, Mike Tomlin was making $25 million a year, would you like most of that? He's going to be like, nah, I'm good, bro. Thanks. Deuces. No, he's leaving Notre Dame.
Yeah, the answer is money. That's what it will take. And there will be different answers whenever Marcus Freeman's time whenever he does become a head coach in the NFL, the difference is money and control and opportunity. Would you rather send a strongly worded email to the NCAA about how you're mad your team didn't get into the college football playoff bracket?
Yes.
Or would you rather make $20 million and run an NFL team? Eventually that opportunity is going to sound much sweeter than the NCAA one.
For sure. For sure. I laughed so hard. I watched the press conference as it was happening. And when he said that, I said, dude, you just said yes. You just said you're taking an NFL job. Like, that's what you just said. Hey, NFL teams, call me because I'll answer. I'm going to tease you a little bit. I'm going to be like, no, you can't take me on a date, Johnny. But eventually, when you show me $15 million, we're going to go to Taco Bell. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Me and Taco Man going to Taco Bell.
Not even going to try. In your opinion, who are some of the resigns the Steelers would resigns the Steelers would prioritize this offseason? Miles Killebrew for really cheap. I don't know who else.
James Pierre.
James Pierre could be on that list for sure. I think Asante Samuel, because if you get a guy like, I don't know, Jesse Minter, who developed Asante Samuel Jr., maybe that connection's there. Outside of that, there are not many here, brother. They don't have a lot of free agents. Calvin Austin, I think, is gone. All the old guys are gone.
Kenny
G's another one. Kenny G will come back. I think Kenny G will come back.
Oh, what do you think about Isaac Simalu?
Nope. I think he's gone. I think he's gone just because I think he's at a point where he's older than the Steelers would like him to be. You could probably find another Isaac, and the entire offensive line looked bad in that playoff game, but he got smoked in that playoff game. He did not look good at all.
Yeah. I think he's good. I think he should hang it up.
Hang it up. Yeah, that's what I think he's played a really good career. He's a Super Bowl champion. Go out with some respect. You know what I mean? But that's Spencer Anderson, maybe. No, he's got one more year on his deal. I think that's it. Like, I think the list is really, really short of who they're going to prioritize to bring back. You all know who they just did, John Rice Plumlee, so it doesn't even matter. Nothing matters. Nothing matters. Rodgers Steeler. I'm okay with a defensive-minded coach as long as the offensive coordinator is a young offensive mind and the head coach lets him coach the offense. Agreed. And I think that this should be the priority across the board. But I also think that that's the norm in a lot of places, and it just wasn't in Pittsburgh. So I don't think that we have like a real reality of what that looks like. I think that if you go to another place where it's a defensive-minded head coach, they run it. They let their offensive coordinator, be an offensive coordinator. Most places.
Absolutely. That's that leadership aspect that this next head coach, I think, has to demonstrate. It's not, yes, you want your CEO of the team, as some describe it. You want that guy who is in charge, commanding the room, has the trust of everybody, but he doesn't have to know how to do everything and have control over every single piece. Sometimes micromanaging is not a good thing. And I hope that whoever the next head coach is just very clear on the responsibilities and where those boundaries are. And if that allows another offensive coach to come in here and develop and really work and fine tune the offensive side of the ball, mamma mia, even better.
Skyler, sorry, Kurt Signetti from the Hoosiers. I also hope we got someone that can develop players and staff. That's another huge part of this, which is exactly why the Steelers don't want a guy who's been in the league, they want somebody to come in here and say, for the next 20 years, how do I build a dynasty? And that's gonna take some time, and that's gonna take some progression, and that can't be done in a week. And I think that's why, Mike McCarthy doesn't come into Pittsburgh and coach a team without a quarterback for 2 years before he retires. Pete Carroll doesn't do that. The Las Vegas Raiders were a prime example of why you don't do those things. And I think the Steelers I don't know if Signetti would be included in that, but I just don't think Signetti's going to be a name they look at. He would be awesome. You know what I mean? But it'd be an awesome for so many of the wrong reasons. So many wrong
exactly. Wrong. It would be awesome for so many wrong reasons. Well,
Yeah,
yep,
it'd just be
yep,
awesome.
agreed.
I mean, it'd be awesome. Diamond, how is the Steelers making roster moves with no coaching staff? The reserve, so you aren't going to make any big roster moves. Nobody crazy is going anywhere. The reserve contracts are different. Those you essentially just like offer to all your practice squad guys and say, we'd like you to come back for like $250,000. You know what I mean? Like it's nothing. So this is just normal practice done with the GM. But at the end of the day, the Steelers could trade for Kyler Murray tomorrow, and they don't need a head coach to do so because they have a GM. He's the one that's going to sign off on it on the end of the day. So you don't need it. But the roster moves that got made like an hour ago, they're pointless roster moves. It's the John Rice Plumlee. So, which does no disrespect to John Rice Plumlee.
Max Hurlman's coming back.
That's exciting.
Son of a bitch.
That's exciting. That's so exciting, actually. You know what I mean? And that's a move that whoever walks in here, I hope sees the potential in a Max Hurlman a little bit more than the last guys did. That's what I'm hoping. They walk in and go, who's 34? And I'll be like, dude, everybody's been asking that for 2 years. Please go do something about it. Go ahead. You got this.
He can do backflips in the end zone.
After catching more passes than anybody who started for the Steelers in 2025. Yeah. Shout out. Duff. I'm sitting here with my Broncos fan cousin who just said, I'm calling you now. The Steelers are hiring Vance Joseph. Oh, I'm calling it now. The Steelers are hiring Vance Joseph from the Broncos. I do think the Steelers are going to interview Vance Joseph. Maybe. What I like about Vance Joseph, and I don't think Vance Joseph is like a top tier candidate. What I like about Vance Joseph is he was a head coach of the Denver Broncos. He got fired. And then they brought him back as a defensive coordinator, which at bare minimum tells you the character of this person. You know what I mean? Like that that doesn't happen. Like you don't get fired and then come back to that organization almost ever. I think that's a definitely a nod to Vance Joseph. I definitely anticipate them interviewing him, but I think that he's a little old. He's a little up there in age compared to what they're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, here's the pros are that, good defenses and Vance Joseph. Jeez, oh man. Good defenses and Vance Joseph are like hand in hand, right? Like that's just been something that has defined his entire career. He is a little too old for the Pittsburgh Steelers, ideal age range for the next head coach, right? Like it seems like if Vance Joseph was 15 years younger, yeah, I think you'd be like, wow, this is a guy who is coaching one of the best defenses in the NFL. Why wouldn't they want to get him like a Brian Flores or something like that? Unfortunately, he's like 60, 55, 53. Still no. You got to be sub 40 for me. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, Brian Flores is the cutoff of 44 in my eyes. Even that surprising, but they have the connection. Otherwise, if Flores wasn't here, I wouldn't even be considering it. It wouldn't be the case. Jay Gordon, if I'm Con, everybody over 28 is cut or traded. See, I hear the understanding behind it. I just don't think the Steelers roster is nearly as bad as people want to say it is. I just don't. Like, I think that you are a quarterback and a good coaching staff away from being legitimate. And you want to know what they haven't had for 2 years? A good coaching staff or a quarterback. Like they haven't had it in years. And now if you could get both of them over the next 2 years, you're telling me that if the Pittsburgh Steelers had a good coaching staff, not Mike Tomlin, a good coaching staff and a quarterback this season, that they weren't contenders? Like
I don't know, man. You can't call them contenders in hindsight right now. Like it's just all gone now. I don't think this roster is like some sort of hellhole. It's not like
that's what I mean.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. To get into Jay's question even a little bit more, even if you take out the players who are 28 and over, you got guys like Joey Porter Jr., Keanu Benton, Derek Harmon, Y.A. Black, Asante Samuel Jr.,
Nick Herbig.
James Pierre just makes the cut. Nick Herbig.
Deshaun Elliott's only 28.
There it is. Sean Elliott also makes the cut. You have
PQ's only 24. Peyton Wilson.
PQ's 11 years old. This guy's a child legally.
Child, dude. Child.
It's crazy.
Your entire offensive line. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Your running backs, both of them. DK is 20, 28.
He's got to be 28, 29. Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Like it's most of the team. Like it really is. Like you're trading TJ and Cam. Deuces. Like I think that there's a lot of potential for somebody to come in here and build with. I think that's really there. Realish.
I agree with that. Sorry, I have an eyelash.
The worst. What's your thoughts on Dante Moore staying in college? I think the Steelers need to trade down in the draft and go after Arch in 27. My thoughts are Ty Simpson, condolences, brother. You know what I mean? You were that close to being the third guy. Now you're going to go to the Jets, and that sucks. And I'm so sorry for you. I am. I really genuinely feel bad. But Dante Moore is a genius for that. Because he said, I'm not going to the Jets, dude. It's not happening. I'm out. See ya. You don't know where I don't want to end up? The Jets or the Browns. And those are where I'm going to end up. So I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. Ty Simpson just continues to go down that Greg McElroy track, huh? Going to play for the Jets. Going to do nothing there. And we're going to be like, man, those days at Alabama, don't you just yearn for them?
That 1 year at Alabama that everybody thought he looked mediocre, myself included. User, love the show. I know we were talking coaches, but who would you guys love to see as quarterback next season? I'm sorry, dude. Just bring in Nate Shieldhouse as offensive coordinator and then just all up and down the field all day long. I'm sorry. I love it. I love the idea. I love the idea. And I will continue to love the idea.
If Kyler Murray wears platform cleats while he plays, then yes, I like this idea. Otherwise, he's going to throw every pass directly into Zach Frazier's buttocks. Because how is he going to see over them? He's 3'8" because he's in 4th grade and he's 12. You know, it's tough. I don't like this idea at all. I think Malik Willis is the top guy right now. It's bad.
Definitely.
It's bad news bears. Like, you're not going out there. Don't like Trey Lance. Don't love Tyrod Taylor. Don't love, who else can you go? I bet Gardner Minshew's a free agent again. Don't love that. Yeah, right. Anthony Richardson, pass. Kirk Cousins, I'd rather tap dance on a minefield. And I don't know who else you get.
Kyler Murray, dude. Kyler friggin' Murray, baby. Let's just get it started here. Let's get it started today. I hope it's good. Hope he enjoys Permani Bros. And it's always cold here, so you can play video games every day because you're not going to do anything else, not during football season. What do you do? Go outside? You maniac. No chance. No chance. Rasta Pasta Salad. Did Trinidad Chambliss declare for the draft? He hasn't technically declared for the draft. I think it's because he's trying to appeal the verdict. Once that goes through and it doesn't pass, he will be kind of forced into it. But no, he's still waiting on the appeal to go through at the NCAA. And when he isn't, when he's done, Pittsburgh Steeler, future Pittsburgh Steeler, always, all day. Chris Signetti from Indiana, the Notre Dame coach, Marcus Freeman, the defensive coordinator from the Rams, and the offensive coordinator from the Seahawks would be the list of head coaches' thoughts. Yeah. How would you rank these?
Shula, Kubiak, Freeman, Signetti.
I'd switch Kubiak and Shula, but I agree with you. I like Marcus Freeman. He's intriguing to me. He's not like the top pick, but he's very fun for me. I think he's got a lot of potential. And I like the fresh slate. But yeah, Signetti's last on this list. The other ones, it's a neck and neck race for Kubiak and Shula for sure. Yinzer Jake, what was the inside info you got? Inside info text you got yesterday? My phone blew up all last night. It was actually like my wife walked in the door, didn't talk to me for an hour after she came home. I was sitting on the kitchen table on the phone when she got there, and I did not say a word to her for 60 minutes because I was just continuously on the phone with different people. It was nuts, actually. It was fun. It was a blast. The biggest information I got yesterday is that Brian Flores is the favorite right now. Is that the belief in Pittsburgh? It's not that Art Rooney has it set in stone that Brian Flores is going to be the head coach. It's that the belief in Pittsburgh is like the belief surrounding the team is that Brian Flores has really good relationships there and they believe in him as a head coach. Will that come to fruition? We'll see, but that's the biggest note that I got yesterday. And they're not going after former head coaches. That one was pretty yikes, not happening. Who are we now, Salad? Is Tomlin still going to be on the rules and safety committee? I don't think he could be if he's not a head coach.
It's the coaches, right? Yeah. It's the coaches competition committee is like what does that. So I don't think he is anymore.
Yeah, I think he'd leave it, especially if he's removing himself from coaching for like the time being. I think he would leave it. Yes. Duff, why wouldn't we re-sign Calvin Austin III? I think a new regime's going to come in here and say Calvin Austin's just not part of this, and maybe Omar pushes for him, but I think Roman, I think DK is the only wide receiver in Pittsburgh that was in 2025 back in 2026. That's just my guess.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're correct.
Skyler, we need to take some of the cap space from the defense and put it onto the offensive side. That's the other good part about the situation. The Steelers are not in cap hell at all. They are in a good cap situation in 2026 and 2027. And at that point, you're going to make a decision on TJ in 2027 because you can't keep that guy around with 7.5 sacks a year for $40 million a season. You just can't do that. The Steelers are in a great situation with the cap space, which again helps. Like people will say yesterday, like, oh, they're not an intriguing place to coach. They're a fantastic place to coach because they're not in cap hell. And you were going to hand pick your quarterback over the next 2 seasons. You got to get there, but you're going to hand pick them, and you don't have to worry about cap situation for like ever after that. It's a great place to be.
Yeah, that's a great explanation.
Real at 21. Who are you picking? The guard, Vega, Denzel Boston, Mekhi Lemon, or trade down and get Chris Bell? Mekhi Lemon all day. All day. I just love Mekhi Lemon. I think he works so well. I think he's a really top-notch wide receiver. And the Steelers' biggest need will remain wide receiver this offseason.
Wide receiver is a huge need. I don't disagree with that. With Tomlin being gone, the entire outlook on the draft shifts for me. I look now at a guard, someone like Vega mentioned here. I maintain the defensive line as being something that they could target once again. I think this new head coach coming in, yes, adding a Mekhi Lemon is probably the best choice. He's the best player that could be available at 21. Excuse me. I think you need to build from the trenches and from there out. Give this new head coach a solid offensive and defensive line to work with while he figures out the right skill players to work with, while he identifies that, implements the systems that they want. I think that could be a smart move here. It's not going to be a flashy one. It might not be one that's well received immediately, but getting a starting left guard or a starting left tackle in this draft, I feel like is just as important as getting that another top tier wide receiver.
Yeah. Taco Man, wonder if it was Tomlin or Khan that let Bob Spillane go in exchange for PQ. Comparatively, Spillane is cheaper and better. Oh, it's definitely Mike Tomlin. I mean, I'm sure Omar Khan was like all in it too, but at the time, PQ was a second team All-Pro. Like he was a better linebacker. Hasn't worked out, but he was a better linebacker. But I would guess it was Tomlin with the support of Omar.
So, I mean, I'm sure he didn't fight too hard for him, right? Otherwise, he probably would have made a contract offer. And this is where
we're going to learn. Him any contract offer.
Right. That's what I mean. Like, I don't think Omar Khan was that, coming to the defense of Spillane if Mike Tomlin was the driving force behind them choosing Queen over Spillane. Now I think we're really going to see how much of that influence was there, right? Like, are these roster decisions and personnel decisions, contracts, etc., how drastically do they change with Omar Khan running the ship, and without the input of a Mike Tomlin? While I anticipate the next head coach will be very involved in roster moves and decisions, how does the dynamic shift? I'm excited to see how that goes.
I agree. Isaiah. Oh, Asa. I was close. Only concern is college coaches. He has no connections to NFL coordinators. I'd also love Brian Dable as offensive coordinator. I'm not a Brian Dable guy. Some people really are. Just depends on what side of the coin you're on. I do agree with the college coaches, though. You have no NFL connections. I think sometimes that works, but I think in, the instance of like an Arthur Smith, you hire a Ryan Day, you hire a Marcus Freeman, I think it improves the odds that an Arthur Smith is sticking around in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, yes, right, because then you would need that experience to sort of rely on and hope you bridge the gap between this new head coach who has little NFL experience recently. So I agree with that, and I think that's a terrible overall option and course of action for the Steelers to take.
Yes. Duff, what are you hearing from the players' reactions about Tomlin? Everybody's just shook. Not a single person saw it coming. The Steelers organization didn't see it coming. Everybody was just so shocked. I heard yesterday was really emotional. A lot of guys were teary-eyed. Everybody stopped on the way out and hugged and shook Mike T's hand and told him how much that they appreciated him. And, I haven't heard from Cam or TJ or any of those names yet, but I'm sure that their responses were very personable. But yeah, the emotions were high for sure. Ask Sam, how is Flores an option if they don't want old head coaches? He's kind of like the cutoff in my eyes, but it's the connection. They don't want guys. It's like the long tenure, the Matt Nagy's, the guys that are like much closer to the end of their careers. Flores, because he was here, I think changes that outlook on what they're going to do. I don't make those rules. I don't make those decisions, but that is, from my understanding, that's the difference, is that he was here. They understand him. He's 44, which is a little bit higher than what they'd like, but he's still a guy that's got 20-ish years left in the NFL. And, they're hoping to make the most out of it. Nate Moore, as we close these bad boys out with a couple of quick ones. Nate Moore, next on the chopping block should be the Smith brothers, Arthur and John, who have terrorized this franchise for far too long. They get them out of here. Johnu is gone. Arthur's gone. I think they're all gone. Carl Spackler, total coaching wild card. Philip Rivers. Happy 11 months, by the way. Tom Flies, when I joined, Mike T was our coach. Crazy times, dude. I remember when Mike T was the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. A long time ago.
I remember when.
A long time ago. Philip Rivers would be so fun. It's not going to happen this year because he's got a boy who's a senior and a boy who's a freshman, and they're both quarterbacks. But I do think Philip Rivers is going to end up in football in the next 2-3 years, something like that.
He's also got a boy who's like 3, a daughter who's 2, a daughter who's 6, a daughter. It's funny. Carl's been here 11 months. That's how many kids Philip Rivers has. They could fill out the whole coaching staff. That's great.
I think he just gave birth yesterday, too. I think he just had a new one.
Another one. Got the dirty dozen.
Shout out to Philip Rivers. Rasta Pasta Salad is Chris Shula. If Chris Shula is hired, would he bring Raheem Morris as defensive coordinator? They have a connection. I'd hope so. I very much so hope so. I'm a huge Raheem Morris fan, as I continue to say. J-Rod, I respect everything Mike Tomlin has done for Pittsburgh. Hope we hire someone with an offensive-minded like Kyle Shanahan or Ben Johnson tree. I feel the same way. I also totally agree. I respect everything Mike T has done, and I hope everybody is on the outlook of shout out to Mike T, man. Congratulations on one hell of a career, and thank you for everything that you did, for sure. Andy Joe, since Jacob mentioned his name on the show, I can't wait to hear the announcement. Head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Coach Jim Bob Cooter. I was shocked you didn't name him. I was shocked you didn't name him as your guy to watch. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he does.
I think the ending of the Indianapolis Colts season really soured any options and his prospect. But he's a guy who has a ton of experience despite being in his 40s. So a name to watch, probably not this cycle, but long live Jim Bob Cooter.
Yeah. Let's finish it off with Penturi's broken furnace. How do you think the Browns and Ravens, also looking for a head coach, affect the Steelers' chances to land the guy they want? I think that the Ravens, and maybe I'm wrong here, have an upper hand over the Steelers because of Lamar Jackson. Nobody wants to go to the Browns. But I do think that if a guy like Shula, if a guy like Minter, if a guy like Flores maybe not Flores because he's been here, but if somebody who the Steelers and Ravens are battling between has to pick, I do think Lamar Jackson gives Baltimore an upper hand. And I think it's hard to, look at Pittsburgh and say, well, you don't have a quarterback, but this other team's got this guy named Lamar Jackson. I wonder. I think it'd be tough.
I agree. It's just added pressure, and the dogfight continues in the offseason. That's AFC North football.
It's AFC North football. Always. All right. With that said, guys, we're heading out of here. Thank you guys so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk as we continue to chase the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback head coach decision. So much more coming. Tomorrow, I guarantee you we have a whole new list of names to dive into, and I'm very excited to see what it brings and who the candidates are as this thing continues to evolve. With that said, before we head out of here, hit that like and subscribe button. I can't thank you guys enough for everything that you guys do for us as we approach 60,000 subscribers. Shout out to Ask Sam Pugh. We should have franchise tagged TJ. Saw this coming. Shout out to Sam.
Would have been easier to deal with.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcast. There's so much going on at si.com/NFL/Steelers. You want to be in on the action. And until tomorrow, enjoy another beautiful day in the Burg.